This week, join me as I travel to the southern tip of South America to investigate the legends of Bigfoot in a magical land called Patagonia.
The word Patagonia itself means big feet? Who knew?
Along the way, I uncover manuscripts describing a race of giants, ride in the pampas with the fabled gauchos, encounter intriguing fossil evidence, and journey to glacial ranges.
This is a kind of inland Titanic disaster waiting to happen.
Great! Let's go in there!
All in an effort to uncover the real story behind the giants of Patagonia.
It's huge! Yeah!
We're digging for the truth,
Yeah!
and we're going to extremes to do it.
From the earliest seafaring explorers of the 16th century to the British merchant marines of the 18th century, Europeans who visited Patagonia returned with mysterious stories of having seen giants. Hi, I'm Josh Bernstein. I've come here to Patagonia, the southernmost region of South America, to explore the connection between this land and the historical accounts of giants.
Patagonia is a massive region that includes both Argentina and Chile. This is a land of extremes, inviting and intimidating at the same time, with majestic mountains and expansive drylands, rugged glaciers, and windswept lakes. Everything about Patagonia is epic, even its stories. Today, they include the ultimate in outsized tales. This is home to a Bigfoot so big, it's like the supersized version of North America's Sasquatch. For hundreds of years, some of the greatest maritime explorers in the world, historical luminaries like Ferdinand Magellan and Sir Francis Drake, reported seeing giants that were nearly twice the height of even the tallest explorers. But could these stories really be true?
Thank you.
To find out, I'm meeting Dr. Pepe Perez Golan at the Museum of Anthropology in Buenos Aires, where he wants to show me the earliest records of giant sightings.
Yeah. You have a collection here.
Yes, we have books here, and we have maps, old maps.
Things that the explorers may have had when they were searching for giants here.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God, look at this.
Go ahead.
Wow. What a great room. So where did all the accounts of giants begin?
It begins with Magellan in 1520s. Magellan had a guy that kept the diary. And here we have in the diary, it says May the 19th, 1520, and it says one giant. It has been 2 months since the last time we seen an inhabitant of this country. One day, when we didn't expect him, a man with a great figure came before us. He was standing on the sand, almost naked, and he sang and danced, and he threw dust on his head.
Wow, so this is the first account of giants. May 19th, 1520.
Yeah, that's right.
And after that, there were more accounts.
There were more things. We have here a newspaper from England, and they also talk about giants.
1766.
That's right. And we have here a book published here in Argentina, and you have here the engravings about the giants, and you can see this huge guy with a fur cape.
Oh wow, look, it's much bigger than a person.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's almost a third bigger than a European. And you have here the same proportion. Here you see the Patagonians sitting there, and the British
They're
or
almost as tall as a man even when they're sitting.
Yeah, that's right.
So these explorers who are seeing these giants, these are not just like dime store novelists. These are real explorers.
No, they're explorers and they're scientists, and they were trying to describe what they saw.
The number of eyewitness accounts describing these giants is astonishing, and the descriptions of these giants draped in fur are remarkable. One of the sailors put it this way.
Some of them are certainly 9 feet if they do not exceed it. The Commodore could but just reach the top of one of their heads, which he attempted on tiptoe. They are prodigious, stout, and as well and proportionally made as ever I saw people in my life.
Then they found also these huge bones.
Giant bones.
That's what they thought.
In 1616, Dutch explorers Jacob Lemaire and Willem Schouten described stumbling upon a pair of skeletons more than 9 feet tall at Port Desire. They left the bones where they found them, but their descriptions convinced people that these belonged to some gargantuan race of humans. With so many credible sources sending back these testimonies, the accounts of giants became accepted as fact. So much so that even modern mapmakers began to redraw the maps of the region based on these stories.
And here you can see the region of the giants.
Land of giants.
The land of giants in Patagonia. And they call them Patagonians because they saw this huge footprints. Patagon means the big foot.
Sorry, the word Patagonia itself means big feet?
It does.
Who knew? Okay.
You have this British map, and now it's called Patagonia. And here you can see also in French.
Yeah, the Patagons.
Here are the Patagons.
See, I thought that it was just sort of a myth.
No.
But these are reputable people saying there are
They
giants here. They made maps that said there are giants here. I haven't seen that for other giants. I don't see any maps saying like Sasquatch lives here or Yeti lives there. But here it's like giants, giants, giants. The evidence is compelling. Were they a race of giant men? Just who were these remarkable beings? If the indigenous population of Patagonia were giants, one might expect to find some record of that in the native culture here today. To explore that theory, I'm heading to the Chilean side of Patagonia to meet a physical anthropologist. Let's see what he has to say. Buenos días. Vamos a Chile. I'm flying south into Chile to Punta Arenas, near the famous Straits of Magellan, to meet Dr. Mario Castro. He's a physical anthropologist, someone who studies the remains of ancient cultures. He tells me that the natives I'm interested in are called the Tehuelche. And since they no longer exist, all we're left to examine are their remains.
That's popular, and we're going to take this one, which is a skeleton from a Tehuelche. So you can see the size of a Tehuelche.
Anthropologists have dated the remains in this box and have found that this man lived around the same time that the explorers were here. So we're going right to the source.
The common name
The skull looks relatively normal, maybe a little big. But it's the spine that surprises me. It looks much bigger than I expected. And so does the jaw. This looks promising. Mario is an expert on skeletal morphology, the study of the shape of skeletons. The prominent and protruding eyebrows on this skull, he says, suggest that this person had unusually strong features. So the amount of bone you're seeing here is significant.
It's significant. Compared to other groups, these were a lot more robust.
Perhaps their heavy brows and square jaws would have set them apart from the explorers and made them seem otherworldly. But that's not all.
Because they were very tall people, the Tehuelches on average were between 178 and 180 centimeters tall.
So
that's close to 6 feet
here
on average. Okay. But
Arms.
compared to other native groups from South America, they were very tall indeed, and very robust.
Okay. And the whole body is sort of this more sturdy, robust, upgraded features.
Yeah.
The natives in this region, the indigenous population, other than the Tehuelche, were how tall?
5'5", 5'6".
So everyone else in this region
it's much shorter.
Is around here.
Yeah.
Mario explains that the Spanish explorers were also the same height, rarely taller than 5'6".
Giants.
So if I saw someone who was this much taller than I am, right? I wouldn't call that person a giant. I'd say, okay, it's a tall person. But that's not a giant.
But if you look at the minds of the people at the time, these individuals had not watched TV, and when they come down and they see these tall individuals, which were not as equal as them in terms of the skin color, in terms of all the facial traits and their robusticity, they look at them as giants.
Interesting. So there may be some cultural interpretation going on.
Absolutely.
Traveling to mysterious lands would have been daunting, or unnerving at the very least. And when they saw these tall people with such different features or their skeletal remains, the explorers could have reasonably concluded that they were in the company of giants.
But the stories of these giants is like these massive 9-foot tall hairy men, like these fur-covered men. Where does this story of these giant furry men come from?
They did wear these big capes. When these people were wearing the cape, they looked much bigger, much stronger, much more robust compared to other individuals.
Is that one there?
Yes, we have a fur cape, and if you look at the size, the length of this cape,
It's huge.
and this is a big one.
This is
made
one cape. Oh my God.
This is one cape
Okay.
for one individual.
The natives may have been no taller than me, but draped in these huge fur capes, they probably seemed larger than life to the explorers. It's not hard to imagine why the explorers thought of these people as giants. But here's the strange thing. Apparently, the stories didn't start with the European explorers. The natives themselves had stories of giants, but their giants were not human.
So
Mario tells me that the famous gauchos of Patagonia know all about these tales today. They're of colonial and Indian descent and still carry on many of the traditions passed down from the natives. Traditions like the boleadoras.
these are boleadoras, the so-called boleadoras that were used in Patagonia by the Tehuelches. This was used for hunting.
Oh, I've seen it. This is the three balls that you throw over your head.
Exactly.
So since I can't talk to the Tehuelche today, because they're just no longer here,
Yes,
maybe the gauchos could tell me more about these giants.
absolutely. They probably know legends or myths about the giants.
Wow, sounds like I've got to go find me some gauchos.
The belief that giants lived in Patagonia was so pervasive that early maps were commonly labeled Regio Gigantum, Land of Giants. I've seen evidence of an extraordinarily robust people who gave the explorers reason to think that giants existed here. But it's the native legends that could hold the key to the bizarre Bigfoot stories of South America. Now I'm crossing the border once again to go to the outskirts of Buenos Aires to meet some gauchos and learn more about the legendary giants of Patagonia.
The word gaucho means nomad or orphan, basically somebody without attachment. Today, the gauchos are still nomads in spirit, moving across the ranges as the cowboys of Argentina. I'm hoping that their connection with the people of the past can tell me more about the legends and stories of giants. Pleasure to meet you. This horse likes to run. So you guys are doing what?
Herding the cattle.
Herding the cattle.
Yeah.
Can I help?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I've seen the bolas that the Tehuelche used to hunt animals. These handmade weapons were unique to the Indians of the region. Over the centuries, the gauchos learned to use the bolas too. It's a skill they've passed down through the generations. Could the Bigfoot stories of the natives have been passed down along with them?
Move along, little doggies.
You're going to?
We stop here?
Yeah, we stop here.
Good job. All right. Sergio, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Adolfo,
Nice to meet you.
pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
So I came for these. Boleadoras.
The boleadoras. We are going to show you how to use them.
We should go far away from the animals.
Okay.
Just so it's safe. You can teach me how. You're the boleadora master.
Okay.
We don't want to hurt any animals, so the gauchos have recruited another type of prey.
We want to
Alright,
introduce you to Paisa.
Bolas can be pretty dangerous. So Paisa has wrapped protective padding around his legs.
Good luck, Paisa. Ready? Okay, we better back up.
Swung overhead in a whirling motion and thrown with precision,
Good luck.
the boleadoras wrap around the legs of the prey, in this case, Paisa.
You got him. Nice shot. You okay? Here, nice. Congratulations. You survived. Wow. Look at that. Okay. My turn? Can I try?
Yeah, you
Show
can,
me
you
how?
can try, yeah.
I'm not as skilled as Sergio. I can't bring myself to swing the bolas at our victim here, so I pick a bush.
Like this. It was close. It was close. I want to do it again.
This method of using boleadoras was unique to the natives of Patagonia.
A key? No, straight.
While the gauchos today have some European ancestry, their knowledge of weapons like this comes directly from native groups, including the Tehuelche.
All right, here we go, Bush.
Perhaps that knowledge includes stories of giants.
And I'm coming after you. Ah! Ha! Ha ha!
Adolfo says he's heard the tales.
They used to tell a story about hairy creatures, beasts that they were very afraid of.
Big animals.
Yeah, scary big animals. Yeah.
How big?
It was about 3 meters tall.
Oh, very big.
Yeah, very big.
So terrifying were these giants that early natives incorporated them into their folktales and legends. The stories tell of a gigantic, hairy creature that roamed the forest, letting out a blood-curdling scream. On top of that, these giants were said to have a tail.
They said that they couldn't get their arrows to penetrate their skins, and even some explorers in Patagonia said that the bullets didn't make any effect on the animal.
And stories are still being told in the gaucho community?
Oh yeah, they are passed over from generation to generation. Yes, yeah, the legend is alive.
Could these legends be true? Could a Bigfoot with a tail actually exist here? To determine the truth behind these stories, I traveled to the coastal town of Bahia Blanca to meet a renowned paleontologist.
Okay.
She's one of the world's foremost experts on ancient animals. Her name is Silvia Aramayo. She spent more than a decade studying and analyzing the remains of giant creatures. She tells me she has something very interesting to show me.
Well, busy. You got lots of people here. Should we go in?
Yes, we may go.
This is incredible. A series of giant footprints, so big that they seem unreal. These footprints were buried under sand until a big storm exposed them in 1968. Silvia's colleagues, Teresa Manera and Roque Bianco, were the first to see them and realize they might be ancient fossils. Today, Silvia and her crew are making molds of the footprints to preserve a record of their size and shape.
Can I put my foot in there?
Yes, if you can, but be careful, very careful.
That's huge.
Huge.
And then he went over here.
And the other on the left, yes.
Ugh. Wow, that's huge. It's amazing. This is so exciting. Because as I said, I'm on the trail of giants, and this is the first evidence I've seen of giant footprints actually on the landscape.
The land of big feet. That's what I've learned Patagonia means. Perhaps Patagonia got its name because the explorers stumbled on footprints like these.
When was this footprint pushed in?
When 12,000 years ago.
And so back then, if we were here 12,000 years ago, this was mud.
It was mud, exactly, yes.
Okay. And this creature came in, and this giant came in and squished its footprints in here.
Paleontologists know this because of the animal's gait and the depth of the tracks. The shape of these prints told them what kind of creature created them.
Megatherium footprint.
Megatherium.
Megatherium.
What is a megatherium? It's like an elephant.
It's a ground sloth.
This is a sloth?
This is sloth, yes.
Sloths today make footprints that are very similar. That's why scientists believe that these belong to a sloth species. As more and more Megatherium fossils have been discovered, a clearer portrait of the creature has begun to emerge.
Sloths are like this big. What did this thing look like?
This, like this.
This is what made this? That's a giant sloth.
A giant sloth, the ground sloth. And the animal upright was 6 meters high and 5,000 kilograms in weight.
That's about 20 feet tall and 11,000 pounds.
Oh my God.
That is huge.
Yes.
And it's covered in fur.
Yeah, that's right.
And this sloth can walk on 2 legs?
Walk it upright, yes, that's right.
A giant creature walking on 2 feet. That's what the gauchos told me. The Bigfoot that made these tracks is no myth. my search for the giants of Patagonia has taken a strange turn. I'm no longer looking for giant humans. I'm on a hunt for the Bigfoot mentioned in native legends. I've seen one creature's huge fossilized footprints, and now, to get a real sense of the size of this animal, I'm heading to La Plata Museum near Buenos Aires, where I've heard a complete skeleton of a megatherium is on display. I'm curious to learn more about these giants, so I'm here to meet Chief Paleontologist Susana Barco.
Susanna. Yeah, Josh.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, pleasure.
How are you?
Wow, this place is great.
Yeah.
The picturesque La Plata Museum has one of the world's oldest and most important collections of paleontological and natural history specimens.
These are real bones?
Real bones, all of them.
Okay, this is
an elephant.
Are there any giants in this room?
Well, beside the elephants,
Yeah.
the real giants are in the paleontology exhibition.
Okay.
Megatherium.
This is the giant. And this is what made the footprints I saw.
Yes, of course.
Look at that.
Megatherium americanum.
Megatherium americanum.
Weighing as much as an elephant and standing around 20 feet high, the Megatherium was a very impressive animal. This is just one of the many skeletons that scientists have found throughout South America.
And I see that you've got it standing on 2 feet as it was walking.
Yeah.
Is that how it normally moved?
Yeah, that's right.
Is there any way to know when this thing lived?
Well, they live between 2 million years ago and 10,000
Up to 10,000 years ago.
10,000 years ago.
But no one knows if modern humans saw or had any contact with the Megatherium. Experts believe it's unlikely that the native stories of giants were based on these creatures. But Susanna says the early natives did have contact with a cousin of this animal, the Mylodon. And the Mylodon, it seems, could certainly have been the natives' legendary Bigfoot. Hairy creatures that thundered through the forest at night, letting out blood-curdling screams. And the skin of a Mylodon is right here in this museum.
Heavy.
Actually, that is pretty heavy.
It's very heavy, I told you.
This piece of skin was found over a century ago in 1895. It created quite a sensation because no one had seen anything like it before.
That must have been exciting to discover it. What did they think when they found this skin?
Well, they think that they belong to a species that is still alive.
And that's because the pelt seemed so fresh. They felt certain that animals like this still roam the land. But we now know that this pelt belongs to the Mylodon and is about 8,000 to 10,000 years old. This unusual skin seems consistent with the native tales about the Mylodon's thick hide.
What are these things?
Those things are small pieces of bone.
They're part of the skin.
Yeah, they're part of the skin.
That's pretty hard.
Yeah.
So they have like armor-plated skin.
It's an armor plate.
Wow. This is interesting because I've heard from the gauchos how hard their skin was.
Yeah.
The gauchos told me stories about mysterious encounters between the natives and these giants. They spoke of firing their arrows at these enormous wild beasts. But instead of harming the animals, their arrows would bounce off and fall to the ground. Looking at this bony skin, those tales seem more believable. Susanna tells me that Mylodons were well over 7 feet tall. That's pretty tall.
Giants in Patagonia.
Could these be the true source of the native stories of Patagonian giants?
That come here.
Now, is there any...
I wonder if it's possible that the Mylodons could have continued to exist from the time of the early natives into recent history.
Well, scientists, we don't have the proof for that. But there are people that still believe that these animals are still alive.
Mylodons certainly meet the criteria I'm looking for. They could stand on 2 feet, they were covered in fur, and over 7 feet tall, they were definitely giants.
And there are people called cryptozoologists who believe that there's a possibility that the Mylodon could still be alive today. I'm returning to Chilean Patagonia, to the town of Puerto Natales, to meet Charlie Jacoby, a reporter, seasoned explorer, and cryptozoologist. He lives and works in London, but he may know more about the South American giant sloth than almost anyone else.
they had probably...
He's brought me to a cave outside town where an exciting discovery was made in 1895.
Shall we go in?
Yep.
Find some Mylodons?
Let's go find some Mylodons. Josh, I'd like to introduce you to the Mylodon.
Oh, yes.
Close personal friend of mine. Yeah. Mylodon, Josh, Mylodon.
Pleasure.
This life-size replica of a Mylodon is about 9 feet tall.
So it looks more like, you know, sort of polar bear meets anteater. You know?
Well, yeah, I'd say a kind of 9-foot hamster, really.
So not necessarily hunting people down.
No, definitely not.
Gosh, it just looks so, you know, ready to kill you. So this sculpture basically represents what was discovered in this cave.
Yes, that's right. There was a sea captain called Herman Eberhard who bought all this land here in the 1890s. He rode up here one day and he found this skin in the back of the cave.
That's the skin that I saw in the museum.
Yeah, exactly.
Furry, stony looking.
With the little bony bits in it, that's right.
The skin looked so fresh that everyone concluded that the animal had died recently.
And this electrified Edwardian Britain. I mean, sloth fever gripped the country. The newspapers were fascinated.
So this is where people were coming looking for these 9-foot sloths.
Sloths.
Sloth.
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 Sloth. Josh.
Tomato.
Tomato.
Okay, fine.
Instead of calling the whole thing off, we get on with the story about sloth fever.
And the Daily Express had this bright young writer who was very good at cricket, but they thought would also be very good at exploring, called Hesketh Pritchard, my great-grandfather, and sent him out here.
Hesketh Pritchard, Charlie's great-grandfather, came to this region in 1902 hoping that somewhere in the vast expanse of Patagonia, Mylodons might still roam. He traveled farther than anyone else into the wilds of Patagonia looking for them. And Charlie is determined to continue that quest.
So this is despite the fact that scientists are saying this animal went extinct long ago.
Well, scientists are constantly revising what they say based on new evidence.
Charlie takes me to the back of the cave and explains that scientists originally thought Mylodons became extinct before humans came around.
Sure.
This was where they first discovered that Mylodons and man lived together in the same place.
Not in the same cave?
Yeah, in the same cave. Absolutely.
Really? How does that work?
See that wall there? That was built right up to the top, and behind that they reckoned that people kept Mylodons.
Were they kept as pets? Were they kept for food? Scientists can't say for sure. But one thing they're fairly certain about is that Mylodons no longer roam the region. Charlie, however, is not entirely convinced.
So you think scientists may be wrong here?
Well, science is always revising. I mean, history is always revising. That's what's so magical about it.
And so some discovery would create a new timeline of when these animals went extinct?
It's always possible.
It's possible.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's a spirit of adventure, you know, it's the looking. If you're just going to sit in some crusty museum going, no, there aren't any, that's no good at all.
Right.
You've got to get out there and have a look.
Well, what kind of evidence do you have to support this idea that one survived?
Well, the same evidence that sent great-grandfather here in the first place. It's stories. It's stories about natives who fired arrows at this stone pig, as they described it, and the arrow would just bounce off.
Charlie says if we can prove that arrows do bounce off a Mylodon skin, it could help prove that the native stories were not hoaxes. In fact, he thinks that Mylodons may still exist today.
No, we could actually go and try that if you like.
Yeah, be all for that.
Let's go and do that.
In my pursuit of giants, I've seen huge fossilized footprints, examined the pelt of an ancient sloth called the Mylodon, and explored a cave where they once dwelled. Could the native stories of Bigfoot be based on fact? To find out, I'm about to try an experiment with giant sloth enthusiast Charlie Jacoby. To do that, we have to travel through the town of Puerto Natales.
Yeah, this is Mylodon Central.
This town.
This town.
People love stories about giants, and that may be one of the reasons why the legends have persisted through the centuries.
Go ahead and check them out.
Let's go and have a look.
Oh, check this out.
Oh, fantastic.
But another reason for this fascination is that from time to time, stories of Mylodon sightings crop up throughout South America. The Bigfoot stories just never seem to stop.
Find me! Find me!
This is fun, but we need to get back on the trail of giants. Did the native legends have any truth to them? Can Charlie prove their stories are based on fact?
Charlie, my man, what have you cooked up?
Well, this is the Mylodon arrow to skin simulation.
Ah, I've heard about this.
You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Just
So,
it's not absolutely secure.
yes.
Pull the skin up a bit.
Okay.
But this skin is an approximation of Mylodon skin. It's 3 pieces of goat skin glued together with a layer of dermal ossicles of bones inside. A Mylodon skin weighed about 4 pounds a square foot.
Yeah, I saw they were thick.
Yeah, thick. If you were
Okay.
wearing them, you'd be carrying an extra 100 pounds of weight.
Okay.
And one of the reasons was the ossicles, the little bones inside it.
I see. You put
Very
stones
good.
inside
Yeah,
between the
exactly.
two.
That's the closest to dermal ossicles we could get.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take a bow and arrow and
Yeah.
shoot it at the hide and see whether that matches the native legends of firing an arrow at a Mylodon and the arrow just bounces off.
Got it. Let's go. Right. Here we go. Bounced right off.
It works!
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
So absolutely no Mylodons were hurt in the making of this film.
Did it again,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Ah,
There you go. No holes.
a scratch.
That's what we wanted.
Wow.
So that goes to show, people who poo-poo these local legends about arrows bouncing off Mylodons. I mean, this is a kind of Pleistocenic tank.
Now, is it possible that an animal of this size could still be found today? I mean, could any animal that was extinct be found today?
Yes, several have been found. They found 2 species of deer in Asia. One was in Laos, one was in the Cardamom Mountains of Burma. They found an ox over there. And of course, here in South America, they found the Chacoan peccary, which is a 100-pound pig.
So they thought all these animals were extinct and then they recently found them?
Yes, I mean, they're mainly nocturnal. People miss them very easily. And that's what I think we're looking for with the sloth.
And you think that someone could actually find one?
Yeah.
Well, what would we do if we wanted to look for one?
Well, I've got a bit of mad science which just could give us the way to do it.
All right, mad science works for me.
Let's go do it.
Let's do it.
It's time for Charlie and me to head to the lab.
Absolutely.
What is that?
It's 10,000-year-old sloth dung.
And these are from the cave?
These are from the Mylodon cave.
Any man walking around with a box of dung's got my attention, that's for sure.
Fully and completely, I hope.
What Charlie has in the box are what scientists call coprolites, better known as prehistoric dung.
This stuff was still steaming. You'd reckon it had been left there a few minutes before, wouldn't you?
Yeah, to me it doesn't look like any different than other.
They completely fooled the scientific community of the late 19th century.
But they thought this was fresh.
They did. They did. And 50 years later, 30 years after Hesketh Pritchard had died, we found out from carbon dating that it wasn't fresh.
But this
Gotcha.
dung
So we
can
can
tell us
explore it
much
now.
more than how old it is. So Charlie and I are going to do a bit of forensic scatology.
Should be interesting.
If we take some of this stuff, okay, and we're going to find out what's inside it, and from that, we're going to be able to work out where this sloth might live today.
So how do we actually sample one of these?
Well,
we just break it up?
I want you to take a little piece, crumble it up, and stick it in that glass dish just there.
This size?
Yeah, about that. Oh, God. That's terrible.
Tastes like chocolate.
Very good, very good.
It is chocolate. Not that gross. Take a piece like this.
Take a piece like that.
Not eat it.
Not eat it. Crumble it up.
Crumble it.
And then just stick it under that glass over there.
Just what? Do I squish it up?
Squish it up and you can look at all that.
With only 5 teeth on the top jaw and 4 teeth on the lower, Mylodons couldn't chew their food well. And that's good news for you and me.
There we go. Oh, wow.
And what's incredible is you can see all the bits and bobs inside it, can't you?
Yeah, I see a lot of fibrous material.
That is grass, man.
So you actually know what these plants are?
Yep, they took them off to Uppsala University in Scandinavia, they washed them down, they did a DNA analysis, they found grasses, they found Poaceae, Cuperacea, that kind of stuff. Now we're going to use that information, we're going to find out what plants it ate, what minerals it ate, what kind of climate there was 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago when this thing was in southern Chile, and we're going to work out from that where we think it could be today.
By analyzing the dung, scientists have concluded that the Mylodon ate grasses like these.
A serious grass. And it's a Marsipospermum.
Marsipospermum.
And we know that this stuff grows in what's called Magellanic moorland.
So these plants were around 10,000 years ago.
They were, yes.
They're in the feces, the coprolites.
They are.
And they're still around today.
They certainly are, exactly.
Wow, okay. So what do we do with that information?
Well, we're going to layer that onto the map, along with information about climates, and we're also going to find out what minerals supported sloth life. So we take a map.
Yeah. Okay.
Climate, green, and we reckon it is going to be found in highland areas of South America. So we're looking at this area just here. And this is the Magellanic moorland.
Gotcha.
Okay. Next one.
So this tells us that if a sloth were living in South America today, you'll be eating plants in this region.
That's right, because that's where you find those plants now.
Using the same technique, Charlie colors sections of a second map to reflect the areas that have the minerals found in the dung. And then he colors a third map to outline which climates could support a Mylodon today. The highland areas of Brazil, Guyana, and the Andes. Wow. So we've got climate.
Yep.
We've got minerals.
Yep.
We've got plants.
That's right.
And now?
Put them all together and see where we land.
All right, I'll let you do the honors. All right.
So, first one.
Plants.
Second one. Minerals.
All right, hold on. Let me line these up. Got it.
And the third one. That's climate.
Climate. So we want to go where all three intersect.
That's absolutely right.
There.
That's the place.
A place called El Calafate, at the foot of the Perito Moreno Glacier. A place that was very remote until 100 years ago. And is that where your great-grandfather went?
That's right, and he was following the legends into the Andes just there. We're doing it a different way, and we still end up in the same place.
Okay. Let's go. All right there. I've traveled to the farthest reaches of our planet to investigate the connection between Patagonia and centuries of giant sightings. I saw real evidence of Bigfoot, shot an arrow at a simulated sloth pelt, it works, and examined prehistoric sloth dung for clues about where Mylodons might still roam. Now, Charlie and I are heading out by plane to El Calafate in Argentina. Hesketh Pritchard followed the legends for a year to make it to this same area. But we got here using science. And for us, it's just a short plane ride away. You might think that a quest to find an extinct animal is crazy and that Charlie and I are nuts. But the truth is, animals long thought to be extinct are still being found today. So the question here in Patagonia is, could one of these giant sloths still be roaming the land? There's one way to find out. Aha! Wow. This is going to be fun.
Here's our company.
Charlie and I are now at the southern tip of the Andes, heading towards one of the largest glaciers in the world.
This is Mylodon country.
And this was the area that Charlie's great-grandfather came to.
He explored all this area behind, all around these mountains here, up here. He got caught on this lake for 30 hours in a boat. The wind comes up incredibly fast around here.
So is this area fairly well explored?
No, well, he was about the second or third, and then he went further into the Andes than any other explorer before him.
That's the glacier?
That's the glacier.
Sure.
The Perito Moreno Glacier is one of the largest in the world. There's so much ice here that weeks of 70-degree temperatures don't have much effect on melting it. It stretches deep into the Andes and ends in some of the most remote areas.
There are pockets in here that have yet to be stepped on by humans.
There are pockets inside the Andes that have yet to be stepped on by humans, that's right.
So okay. Is this a fairly safe area to explore?
This is not a safe area, no.
It's not?
You've got those blocks of ice falling off the glacier. You've got ice that's underwater that can surface at any time, could take out your boat completely. And you've got icebergs everywhere. I mean, this is a kind of inland Titanic disaster waiting to happen.
Great! Let's go in there then.
Okay.
Let's do this. Can we go?
We go to the front of the boat for a better view of this massive hunk of ice.
Look at this.
Fantastic.
A 200-foot wall of water that's been frozen for thousands of years towers in front of us. We're completely dwarfed by it. This is truly one of the most spectacular sights I've ever seen. But then, Charlie breaks more bad news. There's a curse.
Many of the people who have been involved in the search for the giant sloth have died in their 30s and 40s. Doesn't worry me personally, but...
How old are you?
I'm in my 30s.
Me too.
We got 10 years, we'll be all right.
And you waited till I got all the way out here before you told me about this.
Sorry, Josh.
What's up with that? So in order to get...
Curse or no curse, I'm on a mission to explore whether or not Mylodons could exist today.
Into the
So we head to the glacier, because Charlie wants me to get a look at the hidden world where Mylodons might roam.
This is where human country stops, glacier begins, and beyond that, maybe a lost world.
Wow. So we go check it out.
Okay, let's go.
Charlie has arranged for us to meet a couple of guides who can take us up onto the glacier.
Hey guys.
Here we go. Here's Cooney.
Hi, Josh.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
And
meet
this
you.
is Martin.
Hi, Josh.
How are you?
Pleasure.
Before we head up the slippery slopes, we have to be fitted with crampons, metal spikes that are strapped onto our shoes.
Okay.
Without these, we wouldn't be able to walk on the glacier.
Travel on the...
Follow me. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. Strange walking, isn't it?
It is.
That's a big one. You've got to watch out for crevasses around here.
How far down do they go?
Long enough for a giant sloth not to be able to get out of them.
Approaching the glacier by boat is dangerous because chunks of ice can break off suddenly. But I'm told hiking on top of the glacier is a lot safer. So safe, in fact, that they're letting us up here without any expedition gear or special equipment.
Look at these guys. They're like totally expeditioned out, backpacks and hiking gear.
They are.
And you look like you're going birding.
This giant mass of ice covers an area of 160 square miles, forming a natural barrier between the populated areas below it and the remote mountains above. With the ice constantly melting, the glacier changes its shape every day.
Okay, I've seen this in like every Hollywood movie.
There he goes in. Ready?
Oh my God! Well, wait, sorry, look at that. That's a lot. I didn't realize coming across how deep it went.
So far, it's been pretty easy, but it's a long and arduous trek to the mountains beyond. And being near the Chilean border, we can't take a helicopter to the ranges above. Officials don't let private airplanes enter this
Where
region.
there could be a lost world.
So Charlie has brought me to this point. This is the closest he and I can get to the area where Mylodons might be.
That's the kind of lost world I was talking about.
The mountain here on the other side of the glacier.
That's right.
Okay.
It's got everything you need in a lost world. It's got a glacier on two sides, a big body of water on the third side. Inside it, there's the right minerals, the right plants. This could be it.
This has been a long journey, but what I've learned is pretty amazing. I've seen evidence of oversized humans who were awe-inspiring to the explorers. I've looked at tracks that proved that the native Bigfoot legends were based on some hard evidence. And following the footprints, I've been to a cave where early humans actually lived side by side with a bipedal giant. Could these giants, the Mylodons, still be alive today? In the last few years, so many species of wildlife have been rediscovered. The chances that the vast, unpopulated expanses of Patagonia might still hide a giant with big feet shouldn't be discounted. At least, not yet.